If I lose the screw, do I have to buy it?
Yeah.
Oh man.
What makes a guitar or guitar gear rare or valuable? And what is the most rare guitar gear in the world? Like a Klon Centaur, this is pretty rare, right? I mean, only 8,000 of these were made, less than half were gold, and far less of those had a little centaur graphic on there. But guitar players, for whatever reason, decided this was the best guitar pedal, and I tend to agree. But the legend grew from there, the word of mouth spread, and moreover, the exclusivity of this pedal was mentioned. Hey, Joe Guitar, you can't get a Klon. They're too rare, buddy. I mean, there's a reason for this infamous but necessary image of virtually any Klon that is bought, sold, or traded, an identifying handwritten serial number, and of course, the mysterious goop to hide its components from being replicated by other companies. You got a good idea, you don't want somebody to copy it? Goop it. But there's 20 or more of these listed online. I don't think they're actually that rare. Now this guitar, even though there's only 1,000 of them made, these are way less valuable than a Klon Centaur. It's a Pierre Silver Sky and Lunar Ice finish, and although there may be less of them available for sale online, these don't have the same historical significance as the Klon, and since it's just a color difference, it's only rare as a collectible. And we can be fairly certain that all 1,000 of these still exist in the world. I mean, who would destroy a beautiful, color-changing, depending on where you shine it in the light, Silver Sky like this Lunar Ice model? Just kidding. I'm gonna hang on to that one. But what about the holy grail of vintage guitars? A 1959 Gibson Les Paul. This is a 2021. But I personally played a few Gibson Les Pauls over the years, and albeit they'd had to be taken out from behind glass and sniper scopes to do so, these guitars actually aren't that rare on the market, and millionaires across the world can be proud owners of a variety of bursts, gold tops, black beauties, and the like, with a quick transaction. Once again, historical significance drives the price, maybe more so than the actual quality of the guitars. I mean, I've actually played some not so great 1959 Gibson Les Pauls. Woe is me. So we established a 1959 Gibson Les Paul is rare because it has historic significance and it has cultural relevance, probably more prominent than any other piece of guitar gear. But still, one crucial component we're missing adds to the trifecta of a Venn diagram that defines the real rarity of a vintage instrument. Now this is my own concoction, so bear with me, but I think it must be truly unique and special in that you know exactly how many were ever produced, you know its exact age, and you know the exact story of the instrument. If a guitar falls directly in the middle of this circle, well, that's when you get one-of-one guitars that go for a lot of money, like this guitar played by Eddie Van Halen. Or this guitar played by Elvis. Well, thank you very much. But that's the middle. It doesn't have to be played by someone. As you can see, getting further away from that rock star center, it can still be very valuable. And as you can see, where you are on the Venn diagram dictates the value, but generally I think these are the things that vintage collectors follow, whether they've said it out loud or not. But most of all, it's the point about the rock star association, affiliation. Maybe not that they played it, but that they endorse it. That adds to the legend, adds to the value. Just like the Klon Centaur, so many amazing guitar players have played and recommended that pedal, used it on records. It has a documentation of being great. So whether it's a product signature, a literal signature, or the fact a musician performed and preferred these objects, influencing the rest of us in the process, these are all things that go into determining the value of an instrument. Now, with all of that said, perfect example is John Lennon's 1958 Rickenbacker 325 Capri. It's a very famous guitar that John Lennon played on stage constantly for 3 years when he was touring with the Beatles in Hamburg, Germany, where they played thousands of shows, got their 10,000 hours of performance before they became really the Beatles as we know them. The kicker about this particular model is they only ever made 4, so John Lennon had one, and there's 3 other ones. I got to play one of those other 3 at Emerald City Guitars in Seattle, Washington. And that's just the tip of the Freebird, I mean the iceberg of all the great guitars and historic guitars that I got to play in this video. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some of the finest guitar nerdery you'll ever be served.
1958 Rickenbacker 325 Capri. There were 2 of these made with 2 knobs and 2 of these made with 4 knobs.
So John Lennon approves this one.
Yeah, John Lennon is the only other person in the world to have a 4-knob Ricky 325 Capri.
Okay.
I don't even know how it's gonna play, but that's like coolest historical guitar.
Let's see. I don't think that's doing anything. Okay, volume. Where'd that screw go? If I lose the screw, do I have to buy it?
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, there it is. I see it. It's like finding a guitar pick. So it must be volume selectors for the pickups rather than tone knobs. This is just the bridge pickup. I want to add in some meat. It's a really short scale guitar. Feels a little strange to play, but a definitely fun guitar to come up with ideas on. But I think that Alright, I'm gonna attempt to put this back the way I found it. Might need to just keep an eye on this one. It hasn't stayed in.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's like a thread thing or I just can't get it in there.
I'm well aware of that.
Now there are a lot of special pieces in this guitar store, as you could tell. Like this upright bass, owned by a certain aquatic superhero.
It's Jason Momoa's upright bass.
The one in the corner. Yeah, it's been sitting here for a couple years.
But there was an even more special guitar I had no idea I was about to lay my hands on. And if you've ever heard of a band called Lynyrd Skynyrd, this next bit might pertain to you.
Right, you guys have heard of Lynyrd Skynyrd, that little band. Ed King, guitar playing aficionado. This is a 1954 Strat, his 1954. Got a broken pickup switch here. But other than that, this looks like it could come out today and be a brand new guitar.
This is the first year of the Fender Strat, 1954, and this is arguably the very cleanest example of this incredible model. It was part of Ed King's collection. Ed King, who wrote Sweet Home Alabama, you know that song? Of course, if I have a guitar owned by the Lynyrd Skynyrd guitarist in my hands, I have to turn the amp up and do this. So far we've gone back in history from 1958 to 1954, and now we're gonna go even further back to 1951 with a guitar that there's maybe only a handful left of these in the world. This is as close to the birth of the guitar as you can get.
All right, just a casual $130,000 Fender Nocaster. Replaced pots, 1951. I don't know how much earlier they made them than 1951, but this could be one of the first guitars ever. In fact, it is. It's a real slab. Slab of wood, man.
So no matter if gear is rare or not, I think my overall message is the ultimate value of gear is how it affects your musicianship. You don't need this $100,000 plus guitar to sound or write like John Lennon because, spoiler alert, you'll never sound anything or write anything like John Lennon. Neither will I, that's for sure. Talent isn't built into gear. Gear allows for talent to come out, and whether that color is a disgusting, ugly, gray, brown color, a bad mixture, guitar and talent, maybe that doesn't happen, but every now and then Slash picks up a Les Paul, and that allows for blooming colors across discographies and musical notes galore. I always think if gear inspires me the way a musician inspires me, or an artist or a band, that same feeling of inspiration where you gotta pick up your guitar, you gotta write or record something, if gear makes me feel that feeling or something similar to it, I think it has a place. And vintage gear can do that because there's this a little bit of a placebo effect of I feel more historic and important because I'm holding this old antiquity. Gear can sometimes do that. Sometimes it's vintage gear, sometimes people will tell themselves it's because it's old that this is the feeling that they're having, but other times it can be the cheapest thing ever. My point is, buy whatever you want. It's not a requirement that it costs any money, but sometimes you gotta spend money to make money, you know what I'm saying? You wanna write that hit record, you gotta get a 1951 Nocaster, and everybody knows that. Obviously, I'm joking. Most of the best music made on vintage instruments was made when they weren't vintage at all, and certainly far less expensive. But if you love music, music history, and nostalgic things of the past, then collecting music gear is a really interesting and incredible community, if I say so myself. Very passionate, very loving of the gear and the music, and knowledgeable, to say the least. I'm really happy I got to spend this time in Emerald City. Got a lot out of that trip. Played the Jimi Hendrix guitar, did all this stuff. So thanks again for Emerald City Guitars for having me out. And what vintage guitar would you buy if money was no object? Leave a comment below. Maybe Emerald City has it in their inventory. But until next time, keep shredding.